Governor Udom Emmanuel of Akwa Ibom State is not a man of many words. Unlike his uncommonly loquacious predecessor, well, former Governor Godswill Akpabio, he rarely speaks to the press, preferring instead for his deeds to do the talking. Today, he will be leading the coastal southern state and Nigeria's largest oil producer to celebrate his 34th anniversary since its creation from the old Cross River State. The week-long celebration will see the governor commissioning a number of projects, including the new multi-storey tower in the state capital, Uyo. Joining us now to talk about the stewardship and industrialization agenda for the state is the governor of Akwa Ibom State, Udom Emmanuel. He will also be giving us his thoughts on the resolutions reached by the Southern Governors Forum on open grazing and the collection of VAT proceeds by the states, as well as the state of affairs in his party, the People's Democratic Party, ahead of the 2023 elections. Before venturing into politics, Udom Emmanuel worked in the financial services sector, where he rose to the position of executive director at Zenith Bank PLC. He has a degree in accounting from the University of Lagos and became a chartered accountant under the tutelage of PricewaterhouseCoopers. Good morning, Governor Emmanuel, and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning, Ruben, and thank you for inviting me to your show this morning.
Thank you for joining us, Governor. Well, 34 years since Akwa Ibom was created. Congratulations to you and the people of Akwa Ibom State. But how has the journey been so far? In the last 6 years, you have been the captain of the ship in that state. And when you assumed office, you had a 5-point agenda. Well, I mean, how is Akwa Ibom State doing? It used to be a civil service state. Now it's a center of industry and a lot of economic activities. But with regard to your own 5-point agenda and the last 6 years, what have you been able to add to that transition?
Thank you, Ruben. Let me first of all start by saying congratulations to all Akwa Ibomites in Nigeria and in the diaspora. The journey so far had been coasting just by the grace of the Almighty. Let me also pay tribute especially to all my predecessors from the creation of this state 34 years ago. I think we've been blessed with good stewards who had been there to serve the state. And today, I want to believe, as we rightly put it, Akwa Ibom had actually been showing in all other parts of the world as Nigeria's best kept secret. And you just specifically said about the journey in the past 6 years. I would not probably give credit to myself, but first of all, let me acknowledge the one who gives life and the one who had given us the grace to reach where we are today. And also appreciate my people for the support. Without the people, you can go nowhere. No matter how good you are a leader, you need people to stand by you, to support you, to strengthen you, and then to help you achieve the goals that you set. Based on how we came into office, on our own agenda, as of today, people have been asking, they say, if you are to put a score, specifically, what will you rate all the blueprint that you came into the office with? I keep trying to be consistent that I would not score ourselves less than 80%. Even in the face of harsh economic recession that you all know, 2016 was somehow on the left totally, economically, in all parameters and in all indices. Within the last 6 years, we've suffered 2 major recessions. We've suffered a major pandemic that had ravaged the entire universe that no human being had ever experienced it before till today. Nobody seems to have an answer. So in the face of these, you could see us talking about industrialization, talking about youth empowerment, talking about, providing other social services and also delivering on a social contract. I think we've done well in the face of these adversities. And let me also say here that even as of today, we believe to work in the same pace until the last day that we leave the office. Specifically, as we go on the project or as we go on this program, I believe we should be able to get into specific things we've put in place that will actually enable us realize what we set out to do. And let me also say something. This is one government that even before we came into the office, we had a blueprint. And that blueprint is what is guiding us. And that blueprint has alternatives. We always devise alternatives, assuming we cannot go A. If we go B, what will be the outcome? If that is the outcome, what will be our decision at that point in time? And which direction will we go next? So I think that has really helped us so far. And we stay focused. And during your opening remarks, you said the governor that does not like to talk, not that I don't like to talk to the press, but when you leave what you should do and sit on TV, on radio, be appearing every day on the pages of newspaper, you might lose focus. I decide to be focused to do what I was elected to do. And at times it's better. Your work speaks for you. And, you know, even the Holy Bible that we use said, by their works ye shall know them, not by their words, but by their works. So it's a function of works and not words. So a lot of people leave the principle that guides, you know, what they were elected to do and do what they are not supposed to do. It is registered that by their works ye shall know them, not by their words. So I appreciate you, and then thank you, and I'm on with the program.
Well, spoken like the deacon that you are. And if we're talking specific, let's talk about Ibom Air, which you conceptualized and started with 3 aircrafts, and you've grown in the space of a year and a half that fleet to 7 aircrafts with 2 brand new Airbuses, A200 to 300 series. Can you tell us how you accomplished this feat, especially in the middle of a pandemic?
Thank you, Tundung. You know, when you talk, anytime you mention aviation development in Akwa Ibom, I mean, you get me a little bit excited. Why do you get me excited? It's because in the face of adversity, when others are saying there's a casting down, we are trying to let Nigerians know that there's a lifting up. And I just also want people to know that when we talk about adversity quotient, is in every single human being. And you can bring that to bear in whatsoever you do. You say, how do we get to do this in the face of the pandemic? I appeared in a program one time and it generated a whole lot of questions. I said that as a people, as a state, everybody knows we may not have cash, and we don't have, which you know, we don't have. I'm operating quite below what, our projection could have been before we came into power. But that we can create money, and there are various ways of creating money. I appreciate the fact that you're specifically mentioning that we started with 2 or 3 aircrafts, and today we are 7, including A220-300 series, 2 on board, and more are coming. I want to say here that Ibom Air started in my mind. The concept was born out of that passion, and how was it born? If you look at the big countries in West Africa, not even one has a national carrier. Nigeria does not have, Ghana does not have. So it pricked my mind that, look, is this a rocket science? What does it take? And we can do it. Then as a state, I said, let's venture into it. Ibom Air, actually, I was sworn into office May 29, 2015. But we started discussing Ibom Air. Immediately, I won the election. After the election, by April, before I was sworn in, April 2015, we started developing the concept of Ibom Air. What will it take? What will it do? How do we go? Assuming things happen the way it has happened in Nigeria, what alternatives do we have? That's how we started. And then today, it's a success story. And we're going to do more. And if you also see, in terms of services, in terms of what we are doing, you see, we are following the book, which shows that this is a well-planned development. And how did this come about? You know, one of the 5 points agenda that my brother, Dr. Ruben, mentioned, you see industrialization there. You can never talk about industrialization if you don't develop the gateways. And there are 3 major gateways to industrialization. A, road, water. And if you check the whole 3, we've not left a single one undone. We are developing the 3 simultaneously. Today, outside Ibom Air, I don't just want to talk only about Ibom Air. I like to talk about total aviation development. If you come to Akwa Ibom Airport, Then if you had a video of Akwa Ibom Airport before now and now, you see a major difference. That's number one. Then number two, we are developing a smart terminal building that will beat a whole lot, if not all, in Africa as of today. Smart terminal building and can process 1 million passengers every year in a very smart manner. And when I say smart, of course, you know, in this era of ICT, you know what we mean and you know where we are going to. I keep saying so. Once we finish, it doesn't beat that airport that you know, that terminal building you know in Africa. You come back to us. I think we'll break it down in one day and rebuild it again. But I know it sounds impossible. What I'm trying to say here is that we are taking the full aviation development as a major gateway. We have other developments in this, not just Ibom Air. We're thinking of cargo terminal. We're thinking of a whole lot of others. Once we finish our terminal building, we're also thinking of dominating the regional routes, trying to let people know, well, fine, the big ones in West Africa may not have had a national carrier, but the state can also fly a national flag and represent the whole country. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. So I keep saying so. By our Dakada philosophy, which is also what we launch, which is a moral rebirth, to stir up the minds of the people, to rise to the threat of greatness, I keep telling people that what you have is all that you need to achieve that which you set out to do. And that's the essence, and that's the story, and that's also the success behind Ibom Air, that what you have is all that you need. It's not a function of how much cash, but it's a function of how creative you are. I thank you, Tundum.
All right, thank you so much. And, I'm not here to do PR for you, but I can attest to how on time Ibom Air is. I've flown a couple of times into Akwa Ibom myself, and, quality top-notch. There's a joke going around that that's the only airline in Nigeria that leaves, or one of the only airlines, I should say, that leaves on time, really, when you get to the airport. Well, that's a good one.
Thank you.
You've done all that.
Thank you for that compliment.
You've done all that industrial work, industrial development across every sector, football, sports, industry, factories here and there, a lot of action. But I have a concern. Unemployment rates. It's 51% with all the work you have done. In the Dakada philosophy, how can we move the unemployment rate? In the Dakada philosophy, how can we move the unemployment rate from 51%, which is one of the highest in the country, to about 20%? How can we drive that number? Because that's really important to drive that number. And I'll talk to you quickly about, the young people in that state coming up with something called the youth bill. Can that be a panacea to drive down the number? I'm just concerned about the unemployment numbers in your state, sir.
I thank you, Tundung. First of all, I don't struggle with figures. I keep saying so. That figures don't lie, but liars figure. so when somebody is talking about 51%, 51% of what? These are statistics. And we know the flaws in statistical data. How did you check your sample size? Who were the people you talked to? Which area did you enter into? Tunduk, let me also tell you, while so many states are retrenching, we are still recruiting, even teachers. I just approved over 1,000 teachers just recruited into secondary school. We are just in the process of doing another over 1,000 into primary school. That's number one. Then number two, I'm sure, everybody will have an elementary knowledge of economics. If every local government you go to in Akwa Ibom State is a construction site, who are the people working there? How did they accumulate their own sample size to arrive at the percentage you're calling? Or is it just one of those things that we get to see breathing on an opposition state? I don't want to seem as if the statistical data sounds political, but I stand to be challenged. Because I keep saying so, figures don't lie, but liars figure. So if today I'm one governor, I can pride myself to say that there's no single local government that you go that is not a major construction site in terms of infrastructure development. And in a situation of recession, in a situation of unemployment, the easiest way to capture the minds of the people is to go on capital development. Look at our budget, see how much we spend on capital projects. Capital expenditure. See the ratio of capital expenditure to revenue expenditure. So when somebody says this, I stand to be corrected. That's number one. Then number two, look at what we've done under entrepreneurial development. We put this in the media space for people to see. Even right now, if you see our development, we've not started yet, we're about to start this October, our skill development center that will put people back on those areas that me and you are suffering today. Take, for example, plumbing. Who does that for you? Electrical, so many other things. Mechanical. Those things are vanishing, and we are bringing back the skills into our people. Look at what, we even create a whole department that will take care of what we call this youth development. So if you put all these things together, plus the number we are even recruiting in civil service when others are retrenching, I stand to be corrected whether that your statistical data is correct. And at the same time, look at how many people are self-employed in Akwa Ibom State. You see, that same data you're using, I challenged you one time on a program like this, when they mention Imo, mention Abia, mention Akwa Ibom. I now say, look, even when we were much younger, if you want to buy shoes, they ask you, is it a bar made? Or is it made in Europe? The same people now who were doing those things that people were calling a bar made, Akwa Ibom made, Cross River made, Calabar made, Uyo made, Eket made, they are now the same people. You are giving high percentage of unemployment. So let's come to times, and let's also bring a little bit of economics into what we are doing, and then get back to statistical information that we push out there. I keep repeating, come to Akwa Ibom now. Every single space you see, there's always one capital project or the other. Who are those working there? An average worker receives a certain sum per hour. And these people work minimum. They work Saturdays, some of them work Sundays, overtime. So check the minimum wage in Nigeria and check what an average worker on any of those construction sites earns, whether it's not almost more than double what we call minimum wage. So what do you call employment? Is it until everybody comes into civil service? Which government on planet Earth employs the whole percentage or the whole population into civil service? We are not training our people to totally be a civil service oriented state. Let me also say something. We are one state today in this country that we've purposely created a cottage yard for entrepreneurial and enterprise development skills. That entrepreneurial yard, that enterprise development yard is where we are producing toothpick, where we are doing all things plastic, where we are doing all these things tissue paper. And today we are also putting up a tomato puree paste in that same place. What are we trying to do? The whole idea is to build, inculcate in our minds of our people that what little hands can do can tomorrow create a multinational. And starting from the stories of what we've seen in all the business schools and so on. So you can hardly match your figure with what we have here on ground. So I stand to be corrected. So the statistician can come back and tell us how he accumulated his figure, or probably who he talked to, and how he got his own sample size. I don't take that at all for computation, because I have my own analysis. I have my own statistical department. So I look at what we do, and I also see a whole lot that is on ground. I thank you, Tundum.
Well, Governor, I would like you to talk a bit about education. You know, I went to school in the old Cross River State, so I'm also, I have friends and connections with Akwa Ibom State. And, you know, some of my friends tell me that there is an issue with public schools, I guess as is the case in other parts of Nigeria, and that your administration has not been paying enough attention to public schools. Could that be because education is not expressly stated as part of your 5-point agenda?
My brother, Dr. Rubin, that's a fallacy. I can say so. Why am I saying so? If somebody can accuse us, looking at where we are coming from, as that today, I stand to be corrected. And I have evidence, I have the video, I have the script, I have everything to show for it, that I've done not less than 4,600 projects on education alone. Education alone. Over 4,600 projects. And we call it interministerial project. Why? Because it cuts across. That's number one. Then number two, this is one of the states in this country today that is running free and compulsory education at basic level. There's nobody that will tell you he goes into primary or secondary school and then he's paying fees, even including WAEC fees. I pay WAEC fees for our people every year. WAEC will confirm that to you. So where will that person get that information from? That's number two. And at the same time, I just talked about recruitment of teachers. And then we also supplement what we have. This is one state. NYC will tell you that on the average every year, we have not less than 11,000 youth corps members. And almost 90% of them are deployed to education sector to also help with the teachers that are employed. So where can we be lacking? Last year, last quarter of last year, we came on air. Even year before last, in 2019, we had an education summit where we need to rejig the system and get few things done. And Ruben, let me also say something. Let anybody come and prove me. Akwa Ibom State University, a state-owned university today, where before we started this program, I overheard you talk about doctors, brain drain in academics. Today, Akwa Ibom State University is the highest paying university in terms of academics. You can check that, and that's a fact. I know facts do change, but as of today, that's the fact. We are the highest paying. So how can we pay lip service to education, and we are doing that? Last year, even by early this year, we declared what we call, emergency in education. As of today, we can give you statistics of even books where you are supplying. We are just one of those states that we pay subvention to schools at the basic level. We pay subventions so that people who are there can concentrate to teach, and students can also concentrate to learn. And immediately we declared that emergency in education. We started, first of all, with physical infrastructure, starting with the state capital territory. If you get to Uyo now, schools that were left bare, nothing was there on ground. You see how those schools are being renovated, all fenced round, the ambience, the infrastructure provided for students to be able to learn. We've just deployed a whole lot of resources on science equipment, lab. And then we are selecting some special schools, which we are, trying to develop an ICT. And with that, we've supplied a whole lot of tablets, of computers, and so on. So, judging from where we are coming from and what we've put on ground, I still don't know where this information are filtering from. But I don't want to actually go into that. I don't join issues with people. I just concentrate on what we have to do. And if you look at, I'm just one of the governors that came up and said, look, the problem with Nigeria is not unemployment, but it's with education. And because of that, we are trying to rejig the entire education curricula, trying to create an intermediate for our technological development in terms of education. Today, people will tell you, I've gotten a bill where we will do an intermediate education system that will be focused mainly on technology and then technology-driven, education sector. So these are things that we are putting in place. And Dr. Rubin, I will try and make sure Arise TV is also live the day I will commission our skill development center. If not for COVID, they would have started since June. Reason being that we cannot deny it. We don't have all the skills to pass on to our people. You cannot give what you don't have. So we are still relying on those other people from the east, from the far east, to also come and assist in terms of passing of knowledge. So those are the teachers, those are the lecturers that we are bringing outside the country to actually help us in our skill development center. And you know what COVID had done? Because of COVID, a whole lot of traveling restrictions, else that would have started by now. So when you look at all this that you're putting in place, and somebody is just somewhere sending a political statement to media houses, this is purely a political statement. We've done a whole lot more than what you're hearing, and you need to see it. Thank you, Ruben.
Well, at this point, Governor, we need to take a short break, but please stay with us. We'll be right back, and the conversation will continue. Stay with us. Welcome back to the morning show here on the Arise News channel. Our guest is still the governor of Akwa Ibom State, Governor Udom Emmanuel. Thank you very much for staying with us, Governor Emmanuel. Tundum, over to you.
Right. Mr. Governor, I have more statistics for you. According to the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics, Akwa Ibom comes second to Lagos State in terms of volume of foreign direct investment, which would include the $4.1 billion petrochemical and ammonium plant with your Moroccan partners. But in other statistics, you have the IGR of Akwa Ibom standing as of 2020 at 30 billion naira, which is just 17.35% of total revenue. Now, how can you make the level of foreign direct investment that Akwa Ibom attracts, as well as all your projects that you've established, how can you make that translate into a spike in IGR? How do you intend to really generate your IGR?
Thank you, Tundun. You know, when you take me to financial matters, you don't want me to end this program. Let me say something. You know, the foreign direct investment will come in terms of capital investment. And these capital projects will not translate overnight. It takes time. If you look at the gestation period, some of them 3-4 years, some 5. So it's like our deep sea port and the rest of the things we are doing. There's no how you can. And secondly, the payee that we collect is called payee, pay as you earn. And you can see that if these people have not started, if we've not started employing the number in those places will make that much difference, will not translate so immediately. That's number one. Then number two, some of those projects are yet to actually come to fruition. We are just a lot of surveys, so many things which you know, you are aware of what could be done. But let me also thank you. I'm not thanking you because this time around the statistics favors me or is positive. It's because that statistics is open internationally. So nobody can, that can be seen by anybody and internationally. Attracting foreign direct investment is something that we deliberately, we are just one of those states, if at all there's any other one, that immediately we came into power. Since 2015, we set up a whole block we call the Bureau of Foreign Direct Investment, headed by a professional, a senior partner in Pricewaterhouse. So it's a technical committee that supply, you know, the technical input and also a technical direction on how we can attract the foreign direct investment. And secondly, too, there are so many other ingredients. It's not just a committee thing. So many other ingredients. They must also look at the leader, the captain. Because in every team, the utility player is expected to be the captain. He is supposed to motivate. He's supposed to actually, you know, inspire. I don't want to sound so much so that it doesn't seem as if we're just praising the leadership alone also. But trust me, money is a coward. It does not go to where it does not feel safe. I repeat, money is a coward. It will never go to where it does not feel safe. So whatsoever we attract is an embodiment of safety in many directions. Looking at who is there. Do we know his email address? If we sent him, you know, an email, can he respond? Can we talk business with him? Will he understand our language? Can we exchange views and ideas? These are part of the safety in which a dollar, is attracted. So I really want to say here that we are still on the right course as far as that is concerned. And we're going to do a lot more. Because you see, whatsoever, as at today, statistically, Akwa Ibom State sits on the entire oil and gas reserves of this country, 36.1%. Though it might not reflect in our revenue, you'll be shocked. They just did a statutory allocation in the month of September. If I tell you how much I was given, you'll be shocked. But, well, there will be a time we will start, we'll challenge that also. Because with the level of production and with the quality of crude oil that we have, how can we be giving something that cannot add up anywhere? We don't understand the sharing formula any longer. And I'm saying this to the entire world. I stand to be corrected. Let me be proven wrong. And you can't imagine, in terms of VAT, because I overheard Ruben talked about VAT. This month, I'm given just 2 billion naira in VAT. ExxonMobil came on air the other day and mentioned humongous sums in which they are paying in VAT. Not to talk of other IOCs. VAT is a consumption tax. It's very simple. So to compute and to let people know,
Okay,
that's what I'm paid, and
Okay.
I don't bother about that.
Okay.
So so you see that attracting foreign direct investment, in a nutshell, is an embodiment of so many other things. But very soon, what we are doing today might not actually bring about the internal revenue overnight. But just give us 3 more, 4 years, a whole lot. And by the time we go further in the program, I'll also tell you other things we are putting, not in terms of payee, in terms of earning money now, that the state will earn money like any other enterprise, like any other institution. If possible, I might put it like any other corporate body. Like
sir.
Arise TV is earning a whole lot of money. Akwa Ibom will also be earning money too.
Okay. Okay, sir. Let's talk a little bit about statistics. You know, you've said the good stats now, the stats that are on your side, and you've disputed the stats I gave. Actually, that stat was from the National Bureau of Statistics too, that gave you these IGR stats. about unemployment numbers. Two things. A lot more investments are coming to your state very soon. A refinery is coming. That's about 400 million US. That'll boost your economy. But I want to know, since you said the stats from the National Bureau of Statistics might be sort of iffy to you, how much jobs are you creating every month in your state? What's the job creation number in your state every month? And secondly, let's go into this VAT issue. When is Akwa Ibom going to sue too on VAT or join this court cases on VAT? Because, there's a lot. Your state should be one of the richest states in this country. Just imagine that humongous mobile money coming into your state. So, Eket money, when is Akwa Ibom going to join the suit and we're going to see this fight it all for VAT? And what's your reaction to what some other state governors are saying? Like state governors in the north that, you shouldn't push for VAT and the likes. But at first, how many jobs do you create monthly in your state? And let's talk about VAT.
Okay, thanks for...
My name is Rufai Oseni, sir. Sir, Your Excellency.
Rufai. Sorry, Rufai, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rufai, sorry, Rufai, thanks for that. Let me start. One thing about myself, Rufai, is that I don't say things I cannot defend. If I come on air now, talk to the whole world that I'm creating 1,500, one job every month, and that I have a mechanism to measure that I'm lying. Because you see, you need to also consider the informal sector. And when you're talking about government creating jobs, the duty of government also is to create an enabling environment that will create jobs. So how can you quantify that? I'm working on power for all. If there is steady electricity, in which I'm also one of the few states that we are building substations across the state, we are supplying with electricity infrastructure, even when we are not collecting the revenue. Recently, we just deployed about 430 transformers across. A whole lot of, investment in that is to create an enabling environment. Look at the massive infrastructure we are doing across the state. Is to create an enabling environment. It might not be easy for me to sit as a governor and say, I can measure what does this translate to in employing head count of employment every month. If I give you any figure now, I'll be guessing. And by my training, by my principle in life, you rather not guess so that you don't seem to be a liar and rely on the right information. So I'm not dodging that question, but I'm telling you I don't have the mechanism to measure that. But my duty is to create an enabling environment to create a whole lot of jobs, which I think is being created. Let's start from population. A lot of people are graduating into the state. Today, by every standard, on the average, we are 7.2 million people. How many were we in 34 years ago? So that alone will also tell you that we are creating a whole lot of value, economic value, that will translate to employment on daily and hourly basis. So okay. I leave that. Then coming to the issue of VAT. You say, why am I not joining the court cases and so on? If my brother states have gone to court and it's the same principle, and they are all going, I think we are all one. We're in the same bucket, we're in the same basket. All the 36 states will not need to join at the same time. As of today, my brother in Rivers had gone far enough. Today is I think the case is still in an appeal court, and there's also stay of execution and so on and so forth. I don't rush to sign that into law for now. Let me allow the rule of law. I'm one person that tried to follow that. Let me allow the rule of law to take its course. But trust me, for the states, you say some states are saying that this is not needed. It's probably because people don't see the hidden treasure, the hidden value in value-added tax. There are so many things. And we've discussed this at different fora, even sharing as peer comparison and peer discussions. We even let our people know that, look, Rufai, take for example, if today I sell a house in Uyo or any other person, a resident here sells his own property, and that property, the value is enhanced because of good roads, because of electricity, because of water, because of how much I've spent on security and the rest of them, it has enhanced the value. And VAT is taken out of that. Why shouldn't that VAT 100% come to me? Why do you have to take it to go and share? Because I'm the one, look at the amount of money we spend. I'm talking about all these capital projects. VATs are being deducted. So if within a quarter, I spend over 143 billion on capital projects, if you take 7.5% of that, why shouldn't that come back to me? Because you never can tell how I created this money. So that should actually come back to me to fund education and fund other things. It shouldn't go there. It's the same thing everywhere. So those who are saying that, no, VAT cannot favor, VAT will favor every single state in this country. No exclusion at all. Because it's a consumption tax. And you can't tell me wherever there are human beings, there must be activity. And where there's activity, there must be consumption. And where there's consumption, there must be VAT. And where there's VAT, there's revenue. So these are simple economics 101 that everybody can easily see it happening. How can you have human beings? How can you have activities? And you say there's no VAT. Well, the VAT is a consumption tax. And once there's consumption, there must be tax. And once there's tax, there's revenue. Well, so it will favor everybody. So I'm one of those proponents that will favor everybody.
Yes,
thank you.
Governor, we still have quite a number of issues. Let's start with Senator Godswill Akpabio, your former ally and your predecessor in office. How are you trying to match up with him? Because the expectation is that in 2023, he will try to again sponsor and support an APC candidate. And he may also want to run again for the senatorial seat that he lost in 2019. What steps are you taking to make sure that Akwa Ibom remains a PDP state? And beyond that, you were once quoted as saying that you were waiting on God to tell you who your successor is. Have you heard from God yet?
Thank you, Ruben. I think you're going to a more controversial area. And you know, I'm a very simple human being. I don't go into controversies. Let me put things right. Dr. Ruben, if you check who we are and who I am as a person, I respect people a whole lot. Since I came into office, you will never hear me sit in the public to talk about my predecessor. I don't do it. It's against my life principle. And I will never do it. I don't speak anything about any of my predecessors. Rather, I thank God for their own time. You see, every single leader must have been put by the Almighty. So I can never sit in the public to say anything about my predecessor, negative. Rather, I will thank God for his life. That's what I will say there. Then talking about the issue of successor, I think it stands as I've declared in the public. One person that I don't do what I call contradiction of belief. If at that point in time, I've made known that we are waiting, when that time comes, it will be announced. If you don't want to announce as a person, Angel will help you announce it. After all, when people did not know, Angel helped to announce that Jesus Christ was coming. So even you sitting on the seat, if you don't want to announce, it will get to a point, angels will help you announce it, except you don't rely on God. You see, my brother, Dr. Ruben, it is what takes you to the top that you hold on to. So I know what has brought me to the top, and I'm holding dearly to it without any apology. So I don't want to do what I call contradiction of belief. That's number one. Then number two, I also stand to be corrected. I'm one of those people that frown seriously at Nigerians because we pay so much attention to election. And it's affecting the focus of the leaders. We can't run a country where election, election, election all the time. If we can limit the time that we give to election and concentrate on development, I think it will be better for this country. Why am I saying so? The day you win election, even in your first term, do you know what people will whisper into your ears? You know your second term starts now. Abba, you've just been elected. I mean, you've not even delivered on the one that people gave you mandate to do. Somebody will just be whispering, you know, your second term starts now. You now win election again the second term. Nobody asks you, how can I help you? Which area will you need me to actually support you in terms of delivering on your mandate? Do you know the next question people will ask you? You know, you have to start thinking about your successor now. Come on. It's totally against the principle of what human beings should do and how to give account of your stewardship. I don't think it's right because you are expected to be faithful and to be loyal to those that gave you the mandate. And how do you do that? By delivering on your promises, by delivering on God's given capacity and ability for you to do what God expects you to do for those people. So I'm one person that started from 2023 is still very far. Nobody knows what will happen in the next 1 month. Nobody knows what will happen by December this year. So I stand here and I just want to remain who I am. Let me stay focused on governance, on delivering on democracy dividends to my people. And at the end of the day, no matter how I bother myself, no matter how much I talk, oh, Dr. Reuben is the next president of Nigeria, oh, this person is the next successor to Udom Emmanuel, no matter what I say, it does not change who God wants to bring in.
Right.
I've understood that long before now. So I stay at where I have control.
Right.
I don't have control. By the doctrine of what we are taught from childhood till today, power belongs to God. And what belongs to God, you can't go and struggle. Who are you?
Indeed.
So thank you, my brother. Don't go there.
Indeed. We don't have that much time, so I want to quickly get to this question about the PDP zoning committee,
Okay.
which has really been taking its sweet time in determining national offices ahead of PDP's convention next month. Can you tell us, do you know when that work will be concluded? And can you give us an inkling on what zone the president, PDP's presidential candidate and chairmanship candidates will come from?
Thank you. It's a good question, and it's a question I know Nigerians would like to know. But unfortunately, PDP is the most structured political party today in Africa. If you're not authorized to talk, you don't talk on areas that you're not authorized to. If you talk about the Constitution Review Committee, that I'm the chairman, I can speak freely on it. But the zoning committee is not chaired by me. It's chaired by another governor. I can't just take his own work and come and announce on the TV. I want to believe when he finishes his work, he will announce. Let us just have a little patience. They will finish very soon. We've already fixed National Convention for October 30 and 31, and the zoning will come to play. So just give us a few more days. Let that committee finish its work, and then we'll come to announce it. I'm not the chairman of that committee. If you ask me about the constitution review of PDP, then I'll speak freely to it. And even with that, I'll speak with some restraint, because I also have a national chairman. I have the National Working Committee. Even under the PDP platform, I have the PDP governors chairman. The chairman of PDP governors, which is Governor Tambowa. So I cannot also come and speak as if I'm the chairman. No, I don't do that. So let me stay within the structure in which I know PDP is so structured. We can't just, that's why you don't see a whole lot of us. We don't just come say things that we shouldn't say. And let me also tip in something. There's a perception, sorry, Dr. Reuben, give me 1 minute. There's a perception about saying, the internal crisis, problems in PDP. I'm standing here, I'm telling you, there is no crisis, there is no problem with PDP. Don't allow anybody to deceive you. Which party? The party that in all the 774 local government areas of this country, you have real grassrooters who are members of this party. It's the largest party in Africa. And outside that, these are where you have people who are very, very refined people. Very cultured people, well-mannered. So it's not what people say. When people just see few minor, issues on the social media, they blow it out of proportion. But I think we are together and we are strong.
Okay, sir.
And I think we'll be ready to offer the leadership that we always offer to this country. Okay,
you call the defection of your fellow, brother governor in Cross River State a minor issue to the APC. You call the defection of Matawale, to the APC a minor issue. You've lost 3 governors. The PDP has lost 3 governors. And a lot of people are not even certain that the PDP can wrest power in 2023. They're also saying you've lost a lot of legislators, House of Reps and Assembly members. And you call them minor problems? Those are big problems. And you lost FFK recently, Femi Fani-Kayode. Just to add to that for good measure. You're losing people. You laugh about Fani-Kayode, but it had some value too to you.
I didn't say anything, Rufai. Let me quickly tip in something there. Politics is, a political foe today will be a political ally tomorrow. So let's not forget the principles in which these things are being played. It's too early to judge. It's too early to judge. And let me also, you see, what makes it interesting what you're thinking is so negative is what even makes it interesting. You know, I keep telling people life would have been so boring if there were no challenges, because even God himself was challenged. So life would have been so boring. Political terrain would have been so boring if there were no movement. There must be free movement and free exit at a point in time. But let me also say something here. That is what makes it so interesting. That's what makes it what politics is supposed to be. I didn't mention names. I don't mention names, which you know. I will not mention names. I didn't say, oh, somebody moving from here to there. No, I didn't talk about that. I'm saying that what you read in the social media, to me, are not major issues. That we are still intact as a party, as strong as ever. The big umbrella that can cover everybody. But Rufai, let me also challenge you on something. PDP have been in the governance over the years. You've seen all the key indices, economic indices in this country. Can you challenge me anytime, any day to a debate that what you've tried with another party over the years, those indices have improved by even one single index? If you can challenge me to that, then whatsoever assertion I can agree with you. But if you cannot challenge me to that, let's see. Let me also tell you something. When PDP was in power, because you are now provoking me to give you statistics, what was our own inflation? When we debased the economy, at what point did we stand? What was our GDP? What was our exchange rate? What was our inflation rate? What is it today when you tried another party? And then when I tried to say the good sides of PDP, let's check all these things vis-a-vis how it affects other people. Because you see, I mean, I love numbers. I love talking with facts. Let's look at, I mean, I'm happy, you see, in life, if you don't try some other alternative, you will not know the best alternative and the best course of action. But today, Nigeria have tried an alternative, and also they've known the best course, a better course of action. Let me just do a comparative of two now. A better course of action. So come and challenge me that, look, when PDP was in power, GDP did this or this. Has there been a single index improvement in the entire economy, anywhere in the world, where we are borrowing the democracy from, or where we are getting it from? Major at the center, major as a country, major as a people. You contest election based on economic indices. What can you do for the people? So put this on table. Let's see. Compare any regime of PDP and then put also with another party. And let's look at those indices. Is it exchange rate? Which one are we going to look at? So I stand here to be corrected that the PDP is still as strong as ever to offer the same strong economy to Nigerians. And I hope Nigerians can now read in between the lines, and then they will give us all the support.
Well, Governor Emmanuel, we have just about 4 minutes or thereabouts to go, but I'll try to pack 3 quick things into a triple-barrel question. The first is your reaction on open grazing.
Pack them, I'm here.
Open grazing and the reaction of Governor El-Rufai of Kaduna and the pushback. 2, the PIA, the Petroleum Industry Act, and the fact that the Governors Forum is saying that their interests were not accommodated. And then, of course, the Paris Club refund and 6 consultants saying that they are being owed $418 million. And, you know, the Governors Forum is saying no, nobody should take any percentage out of the refund. Quickly, because we need to go.
Thank you, Dr. Rubin. Those issues that the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum has spoken, permit me not to go into them again. I think he has spoken on behalf of all the 36 governors. And I queue behind him and I stand by whatsoever declaration they've made. I'm somebody who follows structure and government seriously. And then on the open grazing that affects us individually as a state, I keep saying this over time. You see, cattle rearer and cassava farmer, they are all doing something to earn a living. So don't allow what you're doing to affect what another person is doing. Rear your cattle in an orderly manner so that the cassava farmer can also harvest his own cassava, bring it to the market, sell it, earn the money, and use the money and buy your beef. So don't use your cattle and destroy the farmer's farmland. And at the end of the day, you leave. And while you destroy the economy of another person. I don't agree to that at all. And one person that I believe that things can be done in an orderly manner. You see, it's a problem with Africa. When we are trying to tell people, do things right, do things well, everybody just frown. We try to raise all kinds of sentiments. I don't play on sentiments. I've called the people who are into that business here. I say, people have different businesses. There are people who are fetching sand from the river. They don't just fetch that sand and heap on a farmland of another person. There are people who are also who are doing all other trade to earn a living. Please don't allow what you're doing to affect drastically what another person is doing. That's the whole message about this anti-open grazing law. That's the whole message. And then number two, even in terms of sanitation, beauty, and everything, you can't be on an airport road and then cars are parked for longer period, minutes. Nobody could move. Why? Because the whole road is dominated by just one person who wants to, ply his thread along the... I mean, come on. It doesn't show governance. It doesn't show government at all. We are just trying to be civil here in Akwa Ibom and say, look, fine. Thank God we are blessed with a very fantastic green vegetation. This one state that from January to December 31, rain can fall any day. So we have green vegetation everywhere. So you don't need to bring your cattle to airport road and block a road. You don't need to take it to primary school. There are times pupils are in school. The cattle will invade the entire school compound. And you see pupils running helter-skelter. So no governor will allow that because your cattle can hurt a little child. Because when you sell your cattle, you're not going to take care of that child. Another parent is doing something else to take care of that child in school. So we're saying that, look, we can give you a space, different areas. We confine you to those areas. You have everything you want there. There's no place you enter in Akwa Ibom you won't have water. So you don't need to go a long distance to find a river here. You don't need to look for green vegetation to feed your cattle. But don't let it enter somebody's farm. That's what we are against. Don't let it stray into school compound. Don't let it enter into public places and embarrass us or hurt somebody or injure somebody in one way or the other. That's all. We are just trying to be civil and do things in an orderly manner. I think that shouldn't call for alarm. I don't want to join issues at all. I don't join issues with people. I just stay on the course of the law and the course of what is civil, what is right, what we should be done as normal people. That's on the course on which I stay. And I believe what I've given as an explanation for signing that to law, people here who are applying that trade, I mean, they accept it and they see it conveniently. So we don't have the problems others are having, going very far distance to look for green area, no, to feed your cattle. No, not at all. Wherever you are here, your cattle can do very well. And I think I'm happy. They've all agreed to comply with it. So I don't think there will be any controversy. There will be any issue. So when you rear your cattle, you kill it. Somebody who is also bringing Gary to the market, when you sell your cattle, then you use your money and buy Gary also. So if you alone sell cattle, where will you get Gary to drink? Where will you get corn? Where will you get yam? So these things are just very simple matter, but we try to make a mountain out of a plain land. I don't think it's necessary. We shouldn't generate any controversy about it. Let's just stay on the course of natural justice here, and everything will be right. Thank you.
But Your Excellency, just before we go, do you want to make a comment on host communities fund? You know, that PIA that the president sent for amendment to the National Assembly. At least, even if you don't want to contradict the Governors Forum, something about host communities fund. That should interest you.
Thank you, my brother, Dr. Rubin. You know, if I want to speak that in the public, I might go a little bit harsh, or I might sound a little bit sentimental, but it hurts us badly as oil-producing communities that a paltry 3%, even when we were shouting. So what was the essence of going around collecting memoranda and was not taken into consideration at all? So it hurts us so badly, and a whole lot of agitation down here. Our people are not happy. I must let the whole world know that our people are not happy. And it's costing us a whole lot as government to pacify our people, to allow things to just be, hoping that the government at the center will look at it again. But trust me, 3% that they are allocating to host communities is not enough by any ramification. And I don't want to sound alarmist here, but I'm also trying to make sure that we pacify our people, hoping that something will be done as soon as possible. Even the Nigerian Governors Forum, I also said so, that let it not be ignored. So I don't think it would be right to ignore the hues and cries of people over this matter. You see, You don't go and wake up something and then cause controversy and just think those things will go away by ignoring it. No. Ignoring this issue, ignoring some of these matters will not make it go away. I think the earlier we address it and bring people back on board, the better for everybody. That's the only advice I can give. Let it not be ignored because people are not happy about it. The host communities are not happy. The oil-producing areas are not happy. Please, something should be done. That's just the advice I can give here. But I don't want to whip sentiments. I don't want to say so much so that it doesn't seem as if you are trying to, whip sentiments. No, not at all. Let me just say that, please, as an appeal, let it be looked into. Laws were made for man, not man for law. So it can be looked into. The same biro that, or the same pencil that wrote, there's always an eraser. God who made the pencil also made an eraser. And God who gave the wisdom of 3% can also give the wisdom of 5%. So that's our plea, that's our position, and that's our call. Or even more. Thank you so much. Yeah. Even if they give us 10, it won't be too much. Because today, again, we are not, let them not take us back to the era of resource control. I mean, we seem to have settled that. So we don't want to go into all this, Dr. Ruben, my brother. So we stay where we are for now, hoping that it will be looked into so that our people can also have that sense of belonging.
Well, thank you very much, Governor Udom Emmanuel, for joining us on the morning show today. Thank you very much indeed.